I had a little problem here, and I'm still haven't done this for a while, and I've actually been out of town for a few days. I am moving this. I'm gonna move it over to a new channel, so I apologize. Again, just trying to get this to work right is not happened very well this evening, so I apologize. Let me just. I think Facebook is good. Let me just get move the new link over here and get it up for the people who are trying to watch on the other YouTube link. So, one second here. Welcome, Facebook. I know they're on, and some of you might be joining on the new YouTube link. I had it figured out a while ago, but it is not working tonight on setting it up ahead of time. So, hang on one moment. Okay, I'm going to move everybody over, and I apologize for this delay. I just got back into town from Eastern Washington for a few days, where it was almost 70 degrees yesterday, by the way. But I just set up the new link for whatever reason, scheduling a live and then running it dual at the same time. I'm missing one piece to that. I got it to work a couple of times ago, but for whatever reason, it is not working. Let's see if anybody is on YouTube. I think I'm live on Facebook. So if you can hear me, let me know if you can hear me on the Facebook channel here, and also on the new YouTube link that I just put up. So we'll see if this is working correctly now. I apologize for the problems here. Let's just see if the chat is up. Okay, we're starting to find people. I'm not quite sure what I did wrong, but I haven't done this for almost a month. What? I guess we have not been together for a while. The weather has been that boring. So, okay, we're starting to see people filter in. I apologize if you were all set up on the old, the other link, which is now, people are coming over from YouTube. I'm going to have to do a little more research on this, so I, again, apologize. Randy Small, Whatcom County weather. If you're on the new YouTube link, just give a thumbs up. Appreciate you following. We have monetized the page, hard work that has been done to get that to this point. So, again, it's been let me just kind of share what's happened for the last couple of weeks. My father-in-law passed away 2 weeks ago yesterday, so I have spent a lot of time with the family, and we've had a funeral, and my wife spent a lot of time with him in his last hours and days. The hospice house was amazing, so we have been busy with that. Jen's had some of their own family has had some difficulties as well, so we've had a lot, and then I took off a few days and went over to Eastern Washington to do some basketball photography. So it's kind of been a crazy few weeks for our families. So Jen has actually run a lot of the page for me while I'm here, or while I have been around, and then while I was gone the last few days. So I got home about 2 o'clock this morning, and then had a whole day of work, and I'm just catching up. I'm actually looking at the weather models for the first time in a few days. So I apologize for kind of being behind, but thanks to Jen. And again, Jen's family is going through their own difficulties right now as well. So we've just been through a fair amount here, and so, but appreciate all the support that you had for my birthday. Thank you very much for that. That was mid last week as well. So I know you're not here to hear about all that, but just that's kind of how life has gone for us. And again, looks like we've got everybody, or people have come on over. And again, apologize for the mess up tonight. And I'm going to get this figured out, because once it works, it works smoothly. So, but for some reason, if I set up a YouTube live beforehand and then try to run dual on both platforms, it doesn't catch the one I've set up and scheduled. So, okay, let's just jump right into. I know it's looking like active weather this week. Honestly, I'm going to tell you right at the top, because you're all here, or a lot of you are here. We're looking at a lot of mountain snow, some rain in the lowlands to begin with, a possible windstorm on Wednesday, and then we're going to get a big dump of mountain snow coming later in the week. And then we have a couple of small threats of lowland snow in maybe the foothills, and I suppose kind of like we saw, was that last month? I'm losing track of my dates here and times, but or was that, yeah, last month, early last? Well, it was about 3 weeks ago. It was the night. In fact, I chased snow. My daughter and I went around and we chased snow. Was that a Monday night? And then I actually came back home and ended up going back into the hospital to be with family until about 2 in the morning. Actually, a couple of my kids came in as well. And so that was the last time. It's about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I've lost track. But and then so it'll be kind of reminiscent of that. There'll be a couple chances where if it's a strong enough precip, if it's the right time frame, like overnight when it's cooler, that kind of thing, we might see some snowflakes and things like that in the lowlands. And foothills may have a chance, but it's not looking like a widespread Arctic event. That's not what we're seeing here. And again, we're getting, the calendar is in March 8th. We're getting later, but we do have a cold air mass, and we're going to show you that. We actually have a cold front sweeping through kind of right now. And so let's look at the temperatures, and we'll just kind of jump in. I'll entertain your questions. Can you all see my temp map? Hopefully that is our observation map. We're in the 40s. There's a little bit of south flow here tonight. The reds are wind gusts, and it's kind of southwesterly winds here as we look at Sumas Mountain in the foothills is up in elevation, 3,000 feet, 29, and it's about 26 degrees at Heather Meadows at the ski area. So it's now below freezing. Earlier today it was above freezing, so the cold front is kind of sweeping through, or has swept through. A little bit of wind out there, and it's definitely cooled off. If we quick hit the high temps for today, you'll see lots of kind of, if this, mid 50s, low to mid 50s, so it's cooled off. And yes, we have had some wind today, and I know it was about 68 degrees in Zilla, Yakima area where I was yesterday, and it was a beautiful sunny day. And then, when I left Wednesday, it poured rain all the way from my house to Snoqualmie Pass, and then it quit, and the sun came out on Wednesday. It was beautiful weather over there just about every day, some sunshine, upper 50s, and then yesterday was warmer. Nice breeze, beautiful day. And then we were coming home about 1 o'clock yesterday, or no, 1 o'clock this morning, 2 o'clock new time. But as soon as we hit just north of Mount Vernon, it dumped rain all the way home. From there all the way home. Basically, north of Cook Road, all the way home, it just poured through the hills, Bellingham, Hannigan, all the way home to Linden. So yeah, it was dry, nice weather all the way back, and then boom, hits as we get into Whatcom County. So, but you can see here, that is the current temps. Let me just quick take a look at the March update for BLI, Bellingham International Airport, the stats through the 7th. Hopefully, you can see that. We've had, while I was gone, actually March 4th, which was my birthday, we had a lot of rain, and that's the day I drove. We drove over to the pass and over to Yakima. We got over a half an inch at the airport, and I think there were some recordings of 3/4 of an inch. And it poured, and then it rained on the 5th. It rained a bunch on the 6th. Was that Friday? A little bit on the 7th, not a whole lot at the airport recorded. That's interesting. Oh, I wonder if it was recorded. Oh, yeah, it would have been recorded today because we came over. Yeah, let me take a look and see what the airport recorded for today, because it was 1 o'clock this morning. Let's just see what they're going to add to this total. There's got to be something, but maybe I'm wrong. Yep, look at this. So last night, here it is. Since midnight to 1 a.m., it rained almost 1/4 of an inch. And then from midnight till 5 a.m., it rained a half an inch. So we're going to add a half an inch, not quite a half an inch. But we're at 1.14 inches, add 0.46, we're at 1.6. We are about halfway, 1.6 plus 1.6 is 3.2. Yeah, we're about just a little under halfway for the month of March's precip. I suspect we are going to be well over that by the time this is all said and done. And we are only on March 8th. So we're well on our track here. We're temperature-wise, we're warm for the low temp. We're about 2.5 degrees, but we're about right on par for average for high temp. That may come down as we have a cooling off here coming for the next few days. So that's kind of where that sits, but looks like we're going to be kind of sitting around average, maybe a little bit cooler on the highs, a little bit warmer on the lows at this moment, but then the observed precip is going to be above average, at least it looking like that. So what are we seeing coming up? I'm going to shift real quick over to the weather models, and I'm going to show you a couple things, and I'm going to come back and show you the winter setup that is coming in the mountains with a potential of lowering snow levels. I'm going to show you that in just a little bit, but I'm going to switch over to, it should be, in just a minute, you'll see some maps, our normal weather model maps, so the blues and reds that and the greens that we often look at, and it's just a big, if you're new to this stream, this is a big picture. We're looking above, kind of from, well, basically thousands of feet up in the atmosphere. We're kind of looking at the pattern up there, if I could say it that way, and then we'll see what that translates to the surface at, lower, but we're kind of, this way we can see the big scale pattern. We've got, ridges and warmer than normal anomalies are kind of the reds, and then the blues and the greens are troughs and upper level lows that usually bring, weather that is active. And so we're kind of looking for those things, and you can kind of see as I shift this 18Z from the GFS, which the 0Z is probably started, but it isn't going to be out very far. You're going to see this kind of cold air coming down, and it's basically creating a pattern where there's going to be a bunch of precip coming, and a potential maybe of a windstorm mixed in. And then we got to really, really, really watch next week, because there, and I'm just gonna tip you off here, and it's too early to talk specifics, okay? But one thing that I want you to notice, hold on, let me get this set up right. This is the kind of the high temps, and Sunday it was saying it was 49. It looks like the airport got a little warmer than that. But look over the next few days, you should be able to see my temperature map. This is for Bellingham International Airport. We've got a high temp, 43. This is kind of a one model run. It's the ensemble. It's kind of an average of a bunch of different data put together, and then they come out with this. 43, 41, 46, 46, 43, 44, 42, 47. But you'll note something. On Tuesday of next week, we go up into the 50s. The problem is we have a pile of mountain snow coming between now and then. And you can see that over here on the Mount Baker ski map. Look at, it's dipping down below freezing, and that is below freezing for high temps all the way till next Monday. But notice what it does on Tuesday. It goes up into the upper 30s and 40s. So we have all this snow coming. I'm just telling you, we have a ton of mountain snow. Okay? But we also have a potential of a bunch of rain coming that follows. Now, I'm not going to go to depth of this yet, but we're going to need to keep an eye on the possibility of what would come after all this mountain snow and this warm up coming, as it warms up above freezing at the ski area and the snow level rises. We're going to need to keep an eye on that. I'm not saying that to scare anybody. I just want us to be aware that you'll note that as we look at the maps here tonight, that we're going to see a lot of precip coming as we go, and especially mountain snow in this next week. But we need to just keep an eye on that early next week, kind of Tuesday, Wednesday time frame, for the possibility of some river level rising, or how do you say that? The level of river. Well, anyway, rivers rising. So again, not wanting to stress that too much yet, but just something that we're going to keep an eye on. You don't need to be worried about that at this point. We're not trying to put any fear in anybody. I'm just kind of seeing that we need to keep an eye on that. But before we go there, let's take a look at this week, because that's going to, kind of set us up for, potentially what could come later. And so this is basically showing an active pattern. I'm not going to stay on this map. I don't need to show you much else all up above, but you see lots of blues riding these red lines over the next while. That's just showing a lot of precip coming our way. And actually, if we pull up this nifty map, this kind of shows our integrated vapor transport. It kind of basically shows, can I say it this way, the water or the rain coming from off the, out there. And sometimes, I know, we call them atmospheric rivers. This, early on, they will not be Pineapple Expresses because it's actually going to produce a lot of mountain snow. It's going to mix with cold air. It's sadly, for those who love lowland snow, it's probably mostly too warm down at the lowlands. But up above, 3,000 feet and above, they're going to get hammered with that snow. And what this shows us is kind of over the next while, some precip, and it's, let's see here, I'm just going to make sure. It's kind of not a whole lot coming, but as we push in here, you'll see this, especially midweek. It just starts to take off on Wednesday, and the yellows are even heavier. And then, this is going in, this is Wednesday. Here's this surface low that we're going to need to keep an eye on for wind on Wednesday night-ish. Is it Wednesday afternoon into Thursday, somewhere in that time frame? That surface low that develops, we're going to have to keep an eye on where that goes, because that could create some major wind issues, or at least a wind storm. Let me just put it that way. And then it goes it shows a double barrel low there, 2 L's. But anyway, kind of a double, and that may save us, actually, if that's what that's showing. But you see all this precip, and a lot of it is pointed to the south of us, but we will still get some. Okay, the central southern Cascades are going to win this, and northern Oregon, it seems to be, in this early rounds this week. And it's still, look at all this precip, and then as we go in toward the weekend, there's still precip, and then it kind of scales back, and then watch what happens next week. Look at this precip that's coming in Monday. Look at all this. Again, and it just kind of keeps into Wednesday. Yeah, not necessarily what I want to see if that precip is going to raise the snow levels. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Okay, but that gives us an idea of that we're getting some precip. Now, as we dig deeper, let me just kind of go quickly to the Euro precip map from the 12Z earlier. We have an 18Z out, but I'm just going to run the 12Z. It goes out further than the 18Z. So this is from this morning. So a little bit of this precip may have fell earlier today in the mountains. And you see, as now we're going into Monday, you can see it starting to stack up in the central Cascades. Now the cold front has swept through, and so what we have is lowering snow levels. And so, I'm not seeing a outrageous ton of rain tomorrow for Whatcom County lowlands. I'm not saying I'm sure there's a big chance, like a 70% or whatever, but it doesn't look like it's a huge amount on Monday of precip. The mountains are getting it, and definitely in the central Cascades, Stevens and Snoqualmie. And then you push on into Tuesday, a little bit more rain, continuing to dump mountain snow. And we'll talk about that now as we go into Wednesday or overnight. We're starting to pick up more. But look at the mountains. And this is all snow. Look at this. And that we'll show you the amount of inches, or actually feet, that could be coming. So as this is going into Thursday. Look at this. Precip amounts. Notice we're holding our own. We're not getting hammered, but they are down here. Look at this. Look at all this. Now, almost all of this up in the mountains as we go through into Saturday, Sunday is going to be snow. And so I'm going to flip right over here a second. Look at this. This is a lot of precip for March, especially in this, central to southern Cascades down into the Oregon, down here along the coastal mountains. I don't know how much snow that translates over there. But even this is, 7 inches up here of precip, which is rain, translates to feet of snow in the mountains. So we're going to get all of this potential mountain snow, and then following as we go into next week, look at all this. You got the possibility of, there is on this run. Now this is just an idea. There is 20 inches of precip in the mountains in the southern Cascades. Now, a lot of that would be snow. But if you've got, if that warms up and you've got, let's say it's about 14 inches of that is snow, or 15, and then all of a sudden it turns to rain, those southern Cascade rivers, even some of the central Cascade rivers, going to have to keep an eye on that for next week. I'm not so sure that unless this moves more north, at this point would be as big of an issue, but down south there could be some issues. So we got to keep an eye on that. But we got a lot of mountain snow, and I'll just show you the Euro run for snow. This is just to give you an idea. And I'll stop here and answer questions a little bit. But you'll see the mountain snow. This isn't like perfect. Whatever number you see on this map, that's what's going to happen. That's not what this map is for. It's to show us of kind of the pattern, what's coming, the idea. It's not perfect amounts of that's going to be forecasted. We look at so many weather model maps, and then you kind of look at them, you look at the points, you look at the temps. There's so much that goes into this. But you get an idea as we're going in. This is into Monday. Okay, no lowland snow showing up here, and this is a low-res map anyway. We talked about that I think on our last live of what the resolutions are, how that's different depending on what model we're looking at. But see this snow really stacking up here in the central Cascades? This is just tomorrow, okay? There's probably, a foot at Baker over the next while, and we'll show you the winter headlines. We posted them earlier. Jen posted them. But we'll show you them in just a moment. But then this isn't even the main storm. Now watch this. Here's Tuesday. It's starting to stack up, but look at the BC mountains. Okay? And then we go into Wednesday. Here comes the main storm. Don't worry about what it might be showing in the lowlands. Watch this. Just look at this. I mean, this is coming into the weekend. So there's about through Monday. This is showing. Now, I'm not saying this is what's going to happen. But some of these numbers, 165 inches. I wonder what the 10-to-1 ratio, 140. And it might be, I'm wondering if it would be more to a 10-to-1 ratio. But, I mean, obviously I don't think 165 inches are going to, fall necessarily at in the mountains of the central, kind of to the southern, there at, what is that, Rainier? I'm not sure, but the max on this map is 192 inches. Again, 5 feet at Baker. Is that what's going to happen? I don't know, but it's indicative of you're seeing a lot of snow potentially coming over the next, 168 hours, next week or so, up in the mountains. So you can see, and it doesn't matter. I can show you, weather model map after weather model map, and they're all showing these big snow totals of 95 inches, 100 inches. Again, it gives us an idea on what might be coming. So let me flip back to our winter headlines, and then I'll stop and answer questions, okay? How about let's do that. So I'm going to go back over here, and our winter headlines are right here. But actually, I'm going to show you this real quick. You should see some wonderful purples and pinks and here on our Western Washington map. Hopefully that's what you're seeing. And we've got, if you click on this map, there are two things that we're looking at. We got a winter storm warning and we got a winter storm watch. What's the difference between a watch and warning is easy to explain. A watch is, if you're making cupcakes, it's the ingredients that are sitting there pre-made. It's the eggs, it's the flour, it's the whatever you do to make. I don't know how to make cupcakes, but whatever, if you're making tacos, it's the meat, it's the cheese, it's the tomatoes, it's the guacamole that are all individual. It's pre-made. It basically means you have the ingredients ready to make something. In this case, to make a winter storm. That's what a watch is. A warning is the ingredients have been put together. It's basically about to happen. Okay, so the warning is basically in place from now till, I forget, 5 p.m. tomorrow. We'll look at the details in just a moment. The watch is later for the second round, coming in the midweek. But they're basically saying the ingredients are there. They'll probably replace that with a winter storm warning, say Tuesday, from Wednesday, Thursday, maybe into early Friday for the mountains. And so if you look here, I pulled it up. Hopefully, again, you can see this. Yes, you can. So here's the message that came out. There's two things involved here. There's a winter storm warning. That's happening now. It was 5 p.m. this afternoon until 5 a.m. Sunday. Excuse me. Wow. Tuesday, 5 a.m. Tuesday, okay? That is the winter storm warning. Heavy snow expected. Total snow accumulations between a foot and a foot and a half. Winds as high as 35 miles an hour, okay? And then it tells you where, the Cascades, okay? And then it mentions what the winter storm watch, heavy snow possible, total accumulations between 2 and 4 feet possible, winds could gust as high as 45 on Wednesday. And that winter storm warning, or excuse me, the winter storm watch will be from late Tuesday night through Friday morning. So I think I said Wednesday to Friday, but Tuesday night. So there are two things. We're currently under a winter storm warning for the mountains. Probably, I know it doesn't say the feet, but I would say it's 3,000 feet and above. Okay. Although the snow levels are very low. And I'll show you the snow levels right here. Here is the snow level. It has come crashing down. It is at about 1,400 feet-ish right now. Is kind of, let's just call that a best guess. And then it crashes to 0 tomorrow, overnight. 200 feet, 0. Now, will there be enough precipitation for us to see any snow in the foothills? Possibly, but it'd be a nowcast. Okay? And again, the high temps for this area are not, as you go into the daylight hours, are in the low 40s, okay? And then Wednesday it warms up into the higher, mid to upper 40s, so the kind of the snow, lowland snow, foothills snow threat kind of goes away. But overnight, as we lower our temps, if there is some precip, some of it with some elevation, maybe you see a few snowflakes. Not expecting much for accumulation in the lowlands at this point. But again, you never know if the precip, and again, we're not slated to get a ton of precip here. A place like a convergence zone, which there is right now. Oh, I can't show you that. I'll show you that in a minute. The convergence zone down south in Everett is going right now. Now, I'm not saying it's snowing down in Everett, but what I'm saying is you get that going with the cold air coming in, overnight. Maybe some of those low areas see some of that same thing down there. And they had that same thing happen a few weeks ago when we saw our little bit of lowlands quote-unquote snow. I think it was February 16th, now that date comes to mind. So when would we, from now overnight, I don't know if, much tomorrow, but maybe in the morning hours, could somebody see a few snowflakes? Could a foothills see a little bit? Possibly. To Monday night, again, there's another chance into Tuesday morning. Maybe that's a possibility as the temps lower again. So we're just keep an eye on that. But I see lots of questions. I will go back and scroll through them. But as we think about this, I just not seeing a huge lowland snow threat. But what I'm seeing is, foothills. And if you go back to this little map here, you'll notice the snow levels as we go into Thursday, or Wednesday into Thursday, those temps are rising. It was, more the upper 40s, mid to upper 40s. The snow levels are going to push towards 3,000, but then they come back down again, but they stay above about 500, 600 feet. So it's possible some of the upper foothills, the higher, some of the areas that you get into the 800,000, 800 to 1,000 and above might see some snow later in the week as those snow levels are 500, 600 feet, and we have a lot of mountain snow coming. There's a possibility, I know some people do live in the around 1,000 feet, and I've got reports last time of people that were 900, 800 feet getting snow, an inch of snow last time. And then there was also the January event, which wasn't much either, but places like Silver Lake and other places got snow, and we did a little live with that. So that's kind of what we're keeping an eye on for the mountain snow. That's your winter storm warning. There will be a winter storm watch. I am almost certain that will be turned into a winter storm warning maybe tomorrow for the second round. Okay, and if you look at the ski area, let's just take a look. They're calling for 3 to 7 inches tonight, 3 to 5 tomorrow, 1 to 3 tomorrow night. 3 to 5 on Tuesday, 4 to 8 Tuesday night, 10 to 16. Now, this will probably change, but 10 to 16 inches Wednesday, 10 to 14 inches Wednesday night, Thursday, heavy at times, snow for the rest of the week into Sunday. Now, it won't be heavy at times all that time, but, there's a potential of 4 feet coming to the ski area. I don't know, 3 feet. What could be maybe a conservative guess? Could we hit 5 feet? I don't know. By the way, if we go over to the data for the ski area currently, and they already have an inch of snow on the ground from tonight. There's been a little bit of precip up there. It's 26 degrees at the ski area, and it's 22 at Pan Dome, 5,000 feet. It was 33 at 3 o'clock. It's now 26. So that cold front has to have swept through just by looking at that. And we're starting to see some snow at the ski area currently. Okay, I'm going to pause here for a minute. I'll leave this picture of Stevens Pass up. That was from earlier. It looks like they may be seeing a little bit of snow up at Stevens. Yeah, maybe more than a little bit. So let's see. Hopefully you can see that picture of Stevens Pass. There you go. There's some pictures. Let me go scroll through these questions. And actually, I'm going to go with the newest ones first. That's unusual. But here we go. Mount Vernon, let's see, I'm not sure. Are you asking, is Mount Vernon part of the convergence zone? I'm not sure if that's the question. Mount Vernon can be rarely in what's called the convergence zone, but generally it's South Skagit or even really Snohomish to North King is kind of where the convergence zone lands. Most of the time. There has been exceptions though. Sandy is asking, snow issues Tuesday night and a Wednesday morning in the next few days this week. Are the highest snow levels over a week away? The dates in the right corner of the chart showed Tuesday 317 and beyond. Now, I'm not quite sure I'm understanding the question here. Oh, yeah, I got it. Are the highest snow levels over a week away? The answer is yes. Yes. Next Tuesday. Monday night, Tuesday. Over a week away. So, yes, that is correct. So, yes. Right now, the snow levels, let me pull that back up. The snow levels for into next Sunday are below Mount Baker ski area, basically below 3,000 feet all this week. And the only time it gets close to 3,000 is like Wednesday night. Now, and the chart ends next Sunday. It only goes 168 hours, 1 week on the snow level chart. But we can see indications that things could warm up next week by looking at other data points. Okay, and if we pull up the, and maybe this is what you were referring to, if we pull up this, let me switch here, 1 second here. If we go back to this map, and maybe this is the one you were seeing or talking about, and oh yeah, you can't see the dates very well, but where it shows 35 degrees is Monday, 39 degrees, do you see that? This is for the ski area. That is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's all these dates right here. Now, some of the low temps are still hovering 30, 32, 29. So I'm not certain the Mount Baker, our area, is at this point, is I'm as concerned about the potential of issues for a warm-up after a big snow than I would be to our south. But a lot can change between now and then. So, when I've seen temps in the, 39 and 40, if I start seeing up mid 40s, upper 40s at the ski area soon after, and I'm not seeing anything below freezing, then that's going to raise sirens in my mind, especially if there's a lot of rain. Now, it's possible these temps could go up and most of the rain goes to our south, which is the majority of it is to our south. That's kind of what I'm seeing at the moment, is a lot of this precip may be to our south when the warm-up happens. But we'll just have to keep, there's a lot to happen before now and then. And I'm cautioning, I'm not calling for any major issues up here. I'm just saying we need to keep an eye on it. And I do this every time we go through this. And often it actually nothing bad happens here. So, but I think for everybody in the Pacific Northwest, we need to keep an eye on that for next week. Okay? Enough said about that. Let's see. Beatrix says probably kill pepper plants. I don't know that, again, down here is probably not going to be that cold. Nothing extreme. There's no Arctic air. So if they've made it this far, I don't think we're going to see, this is not a major cold snap for the lowlands. So you can see here, all the temps at Bellingham Airport stay above freezing this whole time. Although there's a couple here on the edge. But it's colder air than what we've had. And it's a pattern change. And then next week it warms up again. But again, we got to keep an eye on that. Connie asks, is there a model agreement on the windstorm? I have not looked in all the details of that yet, but I know that there are some weather models showing some hefty wind gusts. That's all I'll say. I have not had a chance to look at all that data. I apologize, just because I've been so busy. Steph asks, if the windstorm happens this week, would it be southerlies? Yes, it would be southerlies, and I'll show you that in just a moment, okay? Alex says, good evening, good evening. Jennifer is correct. The one next week would be what we would generally consider a Pineapple Express, for those who like to use the term. The ones this week are more on the cold side, and it's kind of Arctic air hitting it, and I don't think there's pineapples being grown kind of in that with that Arctic air. So that's just my thought. But anyway, but next week, you know, those temperatures, it looks more oriented to a Pineapple Express type. Again, might be bullseye to our south though. Appreciate the kind words. Yeah, Joey's mama. I know there's been some wind, and I know Jen posted once or twice, but again, we both, all our families have been dealing with some difficult stuff, so I apologize, and I was gone, and I know Jen did post what she could, but it's just been a lot going on for us, so hopefully you're able to see the page. Keep checking the page on Facebook. Just keep checking it, okay? Somebody's messaging me here. Let me see. Okay. And then, yeah, it looks like some people have not made it over to the new link. That's what they're doing. Let's see. What else? Is anybody else asking any questions? Okay. Let's take a look at the wind here. And yes, going back over to the weather page, let me pull this up here real quick. Do I still have this? Yes. Let me pull up Whatcom County weather. Let me just go over here. We've got the top of the page. We've got a couple of updates. Obviously, we're doing the live stream right now. Appreciate the support. Our YouTube link got messed up. In fact, let me fix that right now, because let me just copy this and let me just put this new link in here right now. Well, okay. Okay, we've got that. Let me delete this one. Okay, so apologize for that. Again, technical difficulties on my behalf. Okay, then we posted about the sunset. Okay, Jennifer posted earlier the winter headlines. That's what we just went over. Okay, she posted everything about that. I posted an update that said I was going to do a live. She's mentioned convective outlook for slight chance of thunderstorms as the cold air comes in overhead. Then she posted late yesterday, or I think it was late last night, kind of a windstorm potential, rain, snow, mix, you know, as you get lower in elevation. Then the mention of atmospheric river next week. So she, and then, yeah, mountain snow. I mean, she mentioned it all in that update yesterday. And then she had a forecast on the 6th through early next week, and now we're kind of following up with that. So you can check, you know, our updates, our observation posts. That was my birthday post that Sean put up. So that's kind of what we've seen over the last while here on the page. It's not been a ton because our weather hasn't had a lot of action. Let's take a look at the wind here. Now, I don't know if the UW has come out tonight. Let me actually check that, because I have this morning's, it doesn't look like it's much started. So here's this morning's UW run, and I'm just going to run this. Hopefully, make sure, yep, you can all see it. Let me lower this. Hopefully you can kind of see the date stamp a little bit. Let me move this over there. I need to get my, you know what, let me just take my picture off a moment, and then you can see this full map. Let's see if I can pull this off where you don't see me anymore. Okay, so I'm still here, even though you don't see me, but there you can see the weather or the wind map. So that's a little better. And this is some westerlies kind of today. Westerlies and that, or southwest, mostly westerlies, I guess it was showing. I think it was some southwesterlies actually. Here's southwesterlies for 5 o'clock this evening. Again, more wind tonight, but nothing crazy. Maybe by the water, you'll notice it. Monday doesn't look to be... Oh, Monday's got some southwesterlies as well. But again, that's not the main one I'm looking at. I'm looking for that Wednesday one. Let's go. Okay, so here's Tuesday with some southerlies. Tuesday afternoon. Okay, nothing crazy there, but again, as we go into this active weather, we could expect more breezy winds, especially by the water. But then as we go into Wednesday, you see it right here. Wednesday, I guess this is for Wednesday morning on this run. I was thinking it was a little bit later Wednesday into Thursday, but it looks like Wednesday morning is kind of where it's showing some 35, mile an hour knots, and even 40, not mile an hour knots. That was horrible. 35 knots, 40 knots. And basically, to translate that to miles per hour, for every 5 you have in 40, which there are 8 5s, you add the number 8 to 40, and you get 48 miles per hour. So 35 knots, there's 7 5s in 35. You add 7 to 35, it's 42. So, gusts in the 40s showing, especially by the water. Now, I'm not saying that's the forecast yet, because we have not pinpointed all of the details about the wind event on Wednesday. But it is showing some southerly wind potential all the way, even into North County. It wouldn't be as much. The foothills, yes. So southern Whatcom, yes. Again, some of that area wouldn't be as strong, but the normal area is definitely showing some potential. That's 8 in the morning on Wednesday. 11, man, kind of scales back fairly fast. Well, keeps going. That's 30 knots. So gonna have to keep an eye on this. And then southwesterlies as we go into the afternoon. So we're going to have to keep an eye on, and then maybe turning to westerlies as we go into Thursday. We're going to have to keep an eye on the Wednesday. Looks like the Wednesday time frame. And again, we'll keep updates coming about that. So, and then beyond that, it's showing some breezy winds off and on, but nothing crazy like it might be on Wednesday. So we'll keep an eye on that Wednesday storm potential. Let me quick go over... and again, I apologize. I messed the ball up on that other YouTube live. I'm going to run a test on that tomorrow and see if I can fix that. Figure out why that did not work correctly. That's not good. So, because people are thinking that I'm not doing the live, and I am. Let me show you just the National Weather Service information for tonight, and then I'm not sure I have a whole lot of other information at this point to talk about, so I guess I'll put myself back on here, and then I am going to take a look at this, and we're going to look at the area forecast discussion, which is right here. So hopefully that is up on the screen, and it is. So let's see if they put out a new one for tonight. Does not look like they've put anything new. It should be coming out soon. This was the afternoon, but there will be an evening one. They do 4 times a day. Synopsis is a colder, wet, and windy pattern will remain across western Washington through the week ahead. Several weather systems will bring an extended period of heavy mountain snowfall, especially during the middle part of the week. That's kind of round 2. A mix of rain and snow in the lowlands, okay, along with light snow accumulations in the foothills, develops early Monday and Tuesday. Okay, everything we've talked about. Radar imagery is showing a convergent zone over the King-Snohomish County line. By the way, I will show you that right now. And then we'll come back to this. Let's see if I do this right. You should see the radar. And you can see the convergent zone. I'll just put this in motion. You can see this convergent zone right here. Basically, yeah, so, you see it extending basically, mainly in the Everett area, hitting a little bit of Marysville. But, some of that extends all the way into King County. But, again, the main band, as it comes around the Olympics with the breezy winds, is converging, as it does, in this area, South Snohomish, or kind of towards the central to South Snohomish into northern King. So there you go. There's the convergent zone at work, and this could be going on for quite a while tonight, as you will see in just a minute. It is going to tell you that as we go back to our forecast discussion. So, showers will depart, but the convergent zone is expected to stick around for much of tonight into Monday. Showers will begin to fill in across the area tonight. And again, I don't think we're going to get a huge amount tomorrow. Not saying we won't get any, That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it might not be a ton here. Snow levels will continue to fall tonight. Earlier today, they were at pass level. They're well below Mount Baker ski area level now because it's snowing there. Cooler air moves in tonight. We've already said that. Expect snow in areas above 500 feet with a rain-snow mix possible elsewhere. Is kind of what they're saying. Again, precipitation up here could be an issue where we wouldn't see a whole lot just because there's not enough moisture. It's kind of a little bit to our south, but we definitely a chance there, I guess. Don't probably foresee too many issues in the morning, but we'll keep an eye on it. It's going to be a nowcast. At this point, again, 500 feet is kind of their target number. They're talking about snow. Lowland snow could be in the convergence zone. So that's down to our south. Northwestern foothills of the Olympics, including Lake Crescent. Temperatures will warm up a little bit to the mid-40s, low to mid-40s, which will keep rain below 1,000 feet, I guess is what they're saying here. And yeah, again, it's going to be the nighttime hours when it's cooler. Monday night or Sunday night, Monday night into the following mornings. Yeah, let me see. Okay, that's through Tuesday night. Then, slightly cooler temperatures Tuesday night may allow for more widespread areas in the lens to see light accumulations. Okay, so we'll have to keep an eye on that one as well. Tuesday night. Okay, Wednesday, the active pattern really begins to ramp up on Wednesday as a moisture plume, we looked at that earlier, reaches the area that will persist into early Friday. This will bring a longer duration event of heavier lowland rain and heavy mountain snow. Very heavy mountain snow. There may be a quick bump upwards in the snow levels. We talked about that to around 3,000 feet. We said that. Wednesday night, before going back down, we said that. Which may briefly limit snow at Snoqualmie Pass. Otherwise, steady snow into Friday will be on the order in the mountains. We're talking about the mountains here. Of several feet. Low snow levels by Friday into the weekend will begin to reintroduce the potential for a rain-snow mix again for our lowlands. However, precipitation looks to start to back off by Friday. A dry period is hard to find at this point. However, as the active pattern looks to continue through the weekend into early next week. In addition to precipitation, winds will become a concern on Wednesday. Interesting. I think we talked about that. As widespread gusts in the 30 to 50 mile an hour range will be possible across the area. I think there's a lot to be decided on that. With the strongest winds across the coast and the north interior, raise your hand if you're in the north interior. That's us in Whatcom County. Winds ease later in the week. So there you go. Hydrology. Heavy precipitation combined with rising snow levels will bring increased flows on the Skokomish River on Wednesday into late week. The Skokomish River is currently forecast to rise above flood stage, but that, again, we've often talked about the Skokomish. Barely have to do anything and it will rise. Elsewhere, river levels will rise. Additional river flooding is not expected over the next 7 days. Okay? So we're okay for right now. We'll keep an eye on that early next week. So, and Keith, you are correct. Depends on where the low develops as to if we see a big, more wind or less wind, and that's always so hard to forecast. So hard to forecast here. So, okay, I again apologize, and I profusely apologize, and obviously those people who haven't joined us don't realize it. And so I may have upset a couple people, and I apologize for that. Hopefully we've covered, I'll try to write up a quick synopsis, although Jen has really covered most everything in her posts. I'm just thinking, is there anything else that we really need to go? I'm trying to get this done in good time. How about I'll try to, maybe I'll touch base with you. We'll see how it goes tomorrow. We'll keep posts coming on the page, so check the page. Thank you for the support. Give the loves and thanks, thumbs up, whatever you need to do. But I really appreciate it. The more you watch, the better it is for us to keep this, keep us going here. We really appreciate it. And we'll just keep on going. And yes, Jen says the posts are at the top of the page. I don't know what else to say. It looks like it's been mostly covered, but I will have more posts tomorrow as I get back into my normal regular work. Okay, everyone. I'm sure I'm missing about 3 things. I'm sitting here trying to think about what else I was going to talk about, but I think I've rambled on long enough. But I appreciate the kind words as well. Yeah, Keith, good job. Keep up those daily briefings. Good job for you. Okay. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Randy